Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Seriously? Did you guys have coffee? Those of you that need a little bit of extra caffeine, let us know. We'll try to get you a little cup back here. But good morning to everybody. We're not raining. It's not raining right now, so we're all kind of happy. Especially the people in Broward that's been going through so much that they've gone through. So welcome to everybody. I want to call this meeting to order at this time, and I would like to have a moment of silent prayer. Thank you. And let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Arisa, roll call, please.
Sure. Good morning. Board Member Cueto.
Present.
Board Member Monestein.
Present.
Board Member Smith-Fano. Treasurer Weinberg is absent. Vice Chair Moss. Chair Diaz.
Here. All right, at this time, I need a motion approval of the agenda.
Second.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Monestein, I believe it was? Or was it, Board Member Monestein, and second by the Vice Chairman. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, this is my less hearing side, so I just want you to, so, with that, the approval of the agenda has happened. Declaration of voting conflicts. Does anybody that is here have any conflicts at this time with anything involving with this agenda? All right, let the record reflect. No, from everyone. Citizens' comments. Do we have citizens' comments at this time? You please come forth. Don't run, don't trip. Okay. With that, citizens' comments is now closed. We move on. Employee recognition, Madam Executive Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. So we have two special employees that hit their 20-year anniversary here with Miami-Dade Expressway Authority. I know we have mentioned in the past how probably I think the newest are probably, 8, 9 years already, so it does say a lot about this agency. I do want to invite, I think Carmen is here in the room maybe, and Jackie, if you can come up.
All right. Yeah. $20 años. Wow.
20 years is a long time, right? So Jackie, started in May of 2003. So imagine we've gone through pandemics, hurricane storms, and she's still here at MDX. And I appreciate everything Jackie does for the finance department. She is one of the right hands of Marie, which I'm probably going to ask to come up here in any second, so she can maybe say a couple things on behalf of Jackie. But Jackie has been probably, with me especially, so important, and somebody that has always gone out of her way to help me and every single person in this building, regardless if it's just finance. We all kind of work with every single department. We're a small group, but mighty, like I say all the time, and I really appreciate everything you do. So if Marie wants to come up and say a couple words.
Good morning, everybody. Jackie Garcia has been at MDX before I actually was hired, but I think you summed it up really well. She is somebody who always helps everybody in the building, no matter what department you're in. If she doesn't know, under her responsibilities, she will go and find out and take care of it. She's a loyal and a decent human being. She's a wonderful human being, so thank you for being part of MDX.
And last but not least, Carmen. also 20 years, and she started March of 2003 as well. So again, Carmen does a lot of our HR administration services here. She's in the building. She's our office manager. My go-to for a lot of questions I've had, even on policy within our building, our MDX, and honestly, she has a wealth of knowledge that I can't even express how much that means here for this organization. So, Carmen, thank you so much for everything you do for MDX. A couple things. Yeah. All right. Wait.
Oh,
Don't move.
hold on,
We gotta,
hold
we have
on, ladies.
plaques for
Hold
you.
on.
Hold on.
Okay, we gotta get a picture, you know? We don't get dressed up for nothing. All right, let's jump in right into business. Your attorney?
Yes,
Lead us
sir.
off in the first one.
Regular agenda, item A. Approval of tech recommendation and contract award for MDX contract number 23-02, general engineering consultant A and B, $50 million each. And should be noted that small business and local business are both at 15%.
All right, Member Modestine, you were on this?
Yeah, that's, thank you, Mr. Chair. That was quite a good learning opportunity for me. That was my first time serving as a board representative to a qualifying committee. That's what we call it? No, to the technical committee. It was interesting because you know, luckily, we didn't have any new incumbents, so it was a bunch of familiar faces, and it was good to observe, note that the wonderful presentation that was made before the technical committee, but also I felt, as I commented at the end of the committee, that both of the consultants are kind of like emotionally vested into the process, the work that they do for MDX, because they both have been long time partners with MDX, and it made it a little easier for me to not have any questions, because the you know, staff was familiar with them. They've done a lot of work with this entity, and so they didn't want to make it hard on the newcomer here. So, so it was good that it was, again, familiar faces that this newcomer had to face with, to deal with. So thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, I think I'm confident that they'll be, you know, doing great work for the people of Miami-Dade County and the region as well in years to come. As we've said in our previous life, sometimes it's a little disappointing when you don't have new competitors, you know, because sometimes there's a whole lot more to learn from the unknown. All right, but life is what it is right now. So maybe these two are good enough that others felt that you know, there is no need to compete with them. So that works as well. And again, it was a great opportunity to learn. being part of technical and selection committee, but look forward to doing a whole lot more of that on this board. Thank you.
Okay, if there's no discussion, you want to make the motion? No. Or is there discussion? Okay. Mr. Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like either Darlene, the Executive Director, or our legal counsel to walk us through the process so that there are no concerns about, how the process went. So publicly, I'd like for someone to walk us through the process.
Vice Chairman, I just want to clarify the process for the procurement, correct? And the process for selection?
Yes.
Okay, so Carlos, if you want to go ahead and speak on that.
Oh, I'll give you a 20,000-foot view of it. Basically, we got it approved by the board to put out this RFP for this contract. And what happens is they submit a package, which Board Member Monstein received both packages, and then the procurement department goes through and makes sure they qualify. So there's and basically for me, there's no complaints later on, but they got to pass certain stuff. And in this procurement, we decided that oral interviews would be necessary. So we also had oral interviews that Board Member Monstein went through, and they have to have a passing score just to compete. And I'll tell you, both of them did very, very well. Passing score was not an issue, and both teams are very diverse and have a lot of sub-consultants. So this is a great contract, and so we although we only had two, and I think Juan could speak to that. Because I had a concern, and he explained it to me. We only had two. They were very, very good. I mean, they could compete with any other GEC. So, and Juan can address that, because I said, wow, only two, what's going on? And he addressed it with me, and so I was comfortable moving forward.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hear from Juan, again, because I want to make sure that
Juan.
everybody understands the process and be very clear that this was a transparent process, that we followed all the rules.
Yes, sir. As Carlos stated, we put the procurement out. We had two submittals. It happened to be the two incumbents, HNTB, EAC. We did do a review of the industry to see what was it that led to only the two submittals, and I think it was between two things, between where MDX is currently at with the status of the litigations and so forth, that uncertainty. But there was also more leaning towards the opportunity of the Kendall Parkway program. It's a big program that we're putting together to put out, and I think industry right now is more eager to pursue those opportunities than the GEC contract. So we felt comfortable moving forward with the process. As Carlos stated, we did the evaluation of the proposals. The RFP stated that we were gonna do technical proposals and oral interviews, so we followed the process 100% to stick to what we put in our documents. The technical evaluation committee met. Board Member Monstein was our board oversight. The two incumbents met the minimum score to be able to meet the award qualifications, and that's what we're presenting here to the board today, is recommendation to award the contract to the incumbents.
Executive Director.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. And I wanna add to what Juan mentioned is, we only had two that actually went after this contract. And even if we only had two, we still wanted to continue the process of oral presentations. I thought it was very important for each company to really showcase what their strategy is moving the agency forward. Again, the GECs have been around for a very long time, and of course, vision and strategy changes. And I wanted to make sure they understood the vision of where our agency was going. So we made sure that the presentations were basically for them to answer what it is for our future, whether it's technology, strategy, partnerships, all the things that we've been talking about here on this board. And we were successful, and I know Board Member Monstein was a part of that as well.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to make sure that on the record, we laid out exactly what the process, is, because when you come up with two groups, then people may have some concerns. I don't have concerns. You know, this was a competitively bid process, and folks put forth, you know, their very best effort, and we have two individual companies that basically applied, and their recommendations are here before us today. And I think that they're the incumbents, but they've done an excellent job in the past. I've always been, you know, very, very pleased with what I've seen MDX do, even prior to me being a part of this board, that it's innovative, it's different. They get the job done, and I really appreciate that. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman, and
Chair.
to Member Modesty.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to Vice Chair Moss for asking that question, because that was my concern coming to the technical committee as a board oversight member. Considering that, you know, after reading all the documents, I think it was torture that as a new guy, I was sent all these materials. And at first, I thought, honestly, oh, maybe I have a role to play here, and I'm going to read all these things. Maybe there are some new companies, and that's when I found out, I mean, it's just the two incumbent. And I think what I asked one of the staff member, well, if this is just procedural, why did we have to have a technical committee? They say, well, because they want to, I think either one or the told me, no, we want to make sure that the entire process is followed. Because, and frankly, for me, though you've seen faces around, you know who the professionals are, and you may think you know everything about their companies, you don't. So sitting here as a member of the board, learning new things about the company and seeing some of their staff people, some of their experts for the first time, some of their partners as well, whom you may not know that we're partners with them, and knowing of their skills and qualifications, I think that was helpful as well. For me, out of my curious mind, it's probably would be more exciting if there were non-incumbent applying as well and competing and help balance, you know, what they had to offer and what they didn't have to offer. But, and I think to a certain degree, I too felt comfortable knowing that these are two entities that have been competing, that have been serving this agency for a long time. And the joke I made at the end is that I think it was one of the principals for AE or A&E or AE, the name is? Huh? EAC, that says that we are MDX, and the way that they think of their how important that their work is for them. And I think it was Rick that made that statement. And afterward, when it came for HTNB to do their presentation, and I think it was Kevin who stated, well, he felt that he grew up with this company, with this agency, and basically kind of like at a time confused the name of the agency with the name of his company. So I think that was emotionally satisfying to me, because you know, it was, you know, it's always going to be a sales speech, but it's not. It wasn't just a sales speech. You know the experience of the company. They show up with that, and well, it's a wonderful contract. It's a large contract. It's a $50 million contract each. So that's a huge contract. You know, in my curious mind, I would hope that many more applied. But again, as one clearly stated, maybe they want the $1 billion contract for construction and not the 15% in consulting. Why they did not apply, I don't know. I was just sitting as a board member. I didn't score the company. So, but it was good to know as well that staff had the confidence to ask them a lot of questions, and had the confidence to recommend them for this consulting contract.
Okay. Anybody else? Member Fano?
I would like to make a motion if no one else has something to say.
Okay, Member Cuatro.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Just a quick comment. I'm pleased to see the agency, Madam Director, obtaining and procuring the resources necessary to move the agency forward, the technical resources and otherwise. I just have a question pertaining to small business and local business, knowing our commitment to small business and also knowing these firms and their commitment to small business, even though the threshold is set at 15%. I would imagine, and I'm sure that that's been exceeded in the past and may be exceeded going forward. So I don't know, if, Madam Director, if you could speak to that.
Yeah, so 15% is something that I've been striving for since I wanted to make sure all our contracts have at a minimum 15%. There's times that we cannot have the 15%. Our board policy from the past has been it's 10%. So we're already exceeding 15, and of course we can move to the next level, and that's really where we want to take the agency. I've even changed process internally that if there is a reason we cannot meet that 15%, it could be the businesses just don't exist here in South Florida, whatever it may be, it has to be a memo that's justified by the department and given to me for signature. So we make sure we document everything that we're doing, especially when it comes to our policy. But the minimum is 10%, and we will be exceeding that with the 15% for each local business and the small business.
Thank you, Madam Director.
With that, Member Fano,
Thank you.
for a motion.
Thank you. Having observed the service of these two wonderful organizations for the past years, I am proud to make the motion to accept the recommendation of the Tech Committee.
All right, so this motion is for A and B, am I correct?
Yes, it'd be for both companies, and it's the tech recommendation and the contract award.
For clarification purposes, I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? None.
Item
Counsel.
B, approval of contract award for MDX contract ITB 23-11, Road 874 DMS installation, $581,900.60. That has a 10% SB and a 10% LB.
All right, this is item C. Discussion on said
B.
item. Motion and a second. At this time, I also want to, as this discussion that just came up on this last item, and it's very understandable, but one of the things in my other government that I had served for quite a bit of time, we switched out a lot of the ongoing contracts with more residual contracting automatically or so on. That we learned tied the hands of future commissions to be able to go out and shop. So I did notice that in some of these contracts, and I know it might be a little late, but that they have a 2 1-year acceptance to continue on. I know that these are main contracts and things, but I think it's something in the future, and Madam Executive Director, that I personally, I think that we give, unless it's something that is, if it's service for fee, well, it's understandable that we have a contract for a period of time. But when it's an investment that an entity, either a P3 or anything like that comes in, then you could understand longer contracts because they got to get their investment back. And that's the way we looked at it in the county. After a long, drawn-out situation, we kept them to maximum 5 years, unless there was an investment portion to it, and then they had another extension of, it had to still go back to the commission to ratify the other 5 years or so on. But we kept them down because when we were doing them, it got to the point where we were doing 15 and 20 and 30 years. And I had to stop that, and it got pretty bad. So I don't know, I just want to, I guess we move forward with this because it was looked at, put out, and bidded already. But as we move forward, that's something, Madam Executive Director, that I definitely, and I'll ask for my members to also weigh in, but it's something that had to be stopped somewhere else, and I don't, it's only 2 years, I get it, but that also controls a certain way of bidding for the future and control, where then you don't have only X amount of companies that could really participate in the bid. because of, believe it or not, just that caveat. Now, I could be wrong, and I would like to hear from my colleagues on this, because it's kind of like a directive that I don't want to see us going into that direction. But if there's something that's reasonable, I could entertain thought. Mr. Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that this is an issue that needs to be taken up when we do that. What do we call it?
Oh, we're back
Board
to that again?
workshop? Board
Yeah,
workshop?
board workshop. Yeah, not the term that Board Member Monestein
Throw out there.
he objects to.
Summit. You know, and just so the board knows, these are not automatic extensions. They come back to the board, and the vendor has to be doing very good work. There's certain criteria to be even considered to get an extra year. I don't think it's not automatic. It's definitely not automatic. They have, if it's an engineering contract, one would have to bring it to the board saying, hey, look, we need another year. But they're not automatic. I know what you're talking about. You know, if you get 5 with an extension, an automatic extension of 5, that's a 10-year contract.
Yeah, an executive director.
Right, I think it's more about maybe the time frame, right? It's what I just want to clarify with the chairman, because I know when we had discussions, it was about, instead of having 2 one-year extensions, it's having a one-time, maybe 2-year extension or 3, so they can come back to this board. It's just that I think from the past, there's always been that options depending what the board wants to do, right? And I think when we hit that 4 years and if we want to renew this contract, you can always take a motion to make it, instead of 2 one-year extensions, you can combine that into 1 2-year extension. That is something the board can do at the time when the contract is over at the 4 years, at least for this contract.
Right, and like I said, these contracts moving forward, they were advertised this way, they were done, and I do understand they're not automatic, and they will come back. I just don't see the logic. I'd rather see them maybe get maybe a little longer contract, and be it for, we should not be going out last minute for anything. It should be done with, and I know that's something you're taking on, and our staff and everybody else is working hard to make sure. Because the worst thing that could happen is that you're sitting up here and making a decision based on a hurry-up situation to get something out, or an extension because it wasn't put out, so on. So if it's for X amount of years, I see it better, but we'll discuss this, as the Vice Chairman said, moving forward, because the issue here is it's not just for the entity, it is also for those that are providing the work, that they have a solid contract, and they have something that they could count on and work with. And that with time, when it becomes a renewal time, that it's done also, not last minute. And that's just something that I know we're not doing, but it's something that I'm as we all look at things, that's something that's been a pet peeve for a long time, and we took a lot to change it back in the day, from the regular procedure that some of them had endless renewability, which kept it like a monopoly. Yeah. So with that, I have a motion. I think it was moved by you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Who moved it? Was there a motion?
Was that the item B?
This is C.
No, it's item B. Item B. It's item B.
I'm sorry, item B.
Right.
Hey, snuck up on me. All right. Item B, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right. Anybody opposed? Come on.
Item C, approval of contract award for MDX contract number ITB 23-12, system-wide janitorial and facilities maintenance, $2,201,783.56, and that has a 10% small business requirement.
All right. I already made my statement. I did it a little earlier than I should have, but I thought it was A and B before. So let's get that clarified for the record. I think some of us got to go fast, so we're trying to move. So with that, do I have a motion on item C? Motion by the Vice Chairman. Do I have a second? Second by Member Monestein. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? None. Let's go to D.
D, approval of contract award for MDX contract number ITB 23-13, system-wide maintenance of traffic, $1,611,800. That has a 10% small business requirement.
All right. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Or discussion? Did you have discussion, Member Fano? Okay. I have a motion by the Vice Chairman, second by Member Fano. All in favor, say aye. Hold on. Member Cueto.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Just a question, maybe for the Executive Director. On this item and the previous item, we had noted that the bids were somewhat lower or significantly lower than the engineer's estimate. I know we had a similar item a few meetings ago. Just any thoughts or concerns around the bids and why they're coming in lower than our anticipation is?
So I know that staff reviewed the unit price and they did a bid analysis, and everything with the cost of material was exactly, it was fair. It was not something that was too high or too low. So they met all those requirements. Now, of course, the contract, they have to perform the work for the cost that they are providing us, and we did not see any issues. I don't know if somebody from or Juan, if you would like to add to that, but I think we did a bid analysis and everything came out correct, right?
That is correct. We didn't see anything that stood out on the bid analysis that would, raise any red flags. I think right now we're still in a state where we're assessing where the market is, because we're seeing a lot of fluctuation. But as far as how the bids are coming in and how people are proposing, we're seeing that everything is stable across the board. So we felt that we're confident that the prices that we're getting are the cost. And we've also verified it with the vendor to make sure that they're comfortable with the pricing that they're submitting for the term that they're submitting.
Both unit price contracts, correct?
That is correct.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I had a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? None. Next item.
Item E, approval of contract award for MDX contract number ITB 23-17, system-wide signing and pavement markings maintenance, $2,998,111.25, and that has a 10% small business requirement.
Any discussion on this item? None. Therefore, need a motion. Motion by Member Cueto. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by the Vice Chairman. All in favor, say aye. None opposed. Next item.
Item F, approval of contract award for MDX contract number ITB 23-18, personnel services, not to exceed $1,500,000. 10% small business requirement. Sorry.
Any discussion on this item? None. Motion, please.
Move it.
Motion by Member Monastin, second by Member Cueto. All in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed? None. Next item.
Okay, item G, approval to advertise MDX contract number ITB 23-20, system-wide sign panel replacement, engineer's estimate, $1,020,387, and that's going to have a 15% small business requirement.
Discussion on said item. Motion by Member Fano, second by Member Cueto. All in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed? None. Next item.
All right, item H, approval to reassign contract number 14-03B, image processing software from Open Roads Consultant to Q3 America. Approval to consolidate 3 one-year extensions into 1 3-year extensions, and approval of compensation terms of service through the extension period, $2,400,000.
All right. Any discussion? Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I have a question.
You have a question?
Yeah.
Member Monastin? Your mic.
What is it that triggers the performance incentive that is provided in this contract?
So this is what I was mentioning earlier. This is a contract that has 3 one-year extensions. 1 year, and then we have to come again after a year, and then after a year. What we are recommending to the board is to just do all 3 years at the same time, because even if we were to go do the imaging software today, if you say we're not gonna give any extension, to redo a new software will take up to 3 years. So instead of having to come back every single time, we went ahead and asked to see if the board will approve the 3 1 years. However, we're getting some benefits from this. Of course, we're adding some liquidated damages on the performance of the contractor, and we're also adding some software updates that are roughly around the cost of $85,000, if I'm not mistaken, per year, that we're not gonna have to pay at all because of this extension, and of course, putting it into 3 years. When it comes to our liquidated damages, I'm sure Rick Harrington may be able to give a little bit more information on that. Rick is overseeing our toll ops operations group since Steve has left, and by the way, has done a fantastic job. So Rick, if you want to give a little bit more information on our performance evaluations.
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Executive Director. I think the question was around the incentives. So this software actually does, and I'm going to try not to get too technical. It does the optical character recognition. So when we take an image of the license plate, there's software that tells us what the characters of the license plate are, and it memorizes the rear of the vehicle, what we call fingerprinting. So anything that doesn't have to go to manual review saves us 2 cents. So when they're at 75% of automation, meaning that no manual review needed, it actually saves us 0.15 cents. So we're actually sharing that high performance of software. Of every image over 75% accuracy, we paid this vendor 0.05 cents, 0.005 cents, a half of a penny. So they have to be performing really well. Just so you know, we've been running between 80 and 83% of all of our images do not have to get manually reviewed. From an industry standard, that's really, really good.
Oh, so they only share on the benefit that is realized by MDX?
Right.
Okay.
We actually, when they do well, we do well, and we're just sharing some of that wellness with them.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes, and just to add, board member, the 65, right now we have 65%. They have to meet. We're actually raising that to 75%.
Okay.
So that's also a plus for us having to do this extension instead of 1 year to make it into 3 years.
I'm a great fan of these kind of incentives. So the threshold is higher, so that means it will be a whole lot more difficult to reach and more beneficial to the agency as well. So I think it's a win-win if they can reach that threshold. Thank you.
Especially the part of the case, there is mess-ups and so on. You're holding them to a higher standard. So that's good. All right. So with that, do I have a motion? Motion by Member Cueto. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by the Vice Chairman. All in favor, say aye. Aye. None opposed. Next item.
Item I, approval of contract award for MDX contract 23-03, manual image review to Pride Enterprises, $6 million.
On this item, first and foremost, let me start out by saying that this has been important for me in my whole career due to the issues that with hurricanes and natural disasters. We just went through that one. Oh, the second imaging. I'm not doing good today.
Item I.
This is all about you. This is all about you, Madam Executive Director. All right, with that, let's go to item I. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Do I have a second? Second. Everybody motioned and second. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Eesh.
No.
What'd you put in this coffee?
Okay. Item J.
Now we'll get to J.
Approval
ahead.
to advertise MDX contract ITB 23-21, system-wide emergency debris removal.
All right. As I started to say, this is important due to everything that we've been blessed for many years that we haven't had a major storm hit us straight up. We need to have this in place, and I think that's extremely well to do so, even though when we advertise it now, I saw what we're putting out and what we're going to be doing. But we got to be very cautious because this is something that you're going to get, I think, the opposite of what Member Monestein was talking about before. I think you're going to get a lot of people trying to come up and be part of this. We need to make sure, that obviously, there's two, and that we pick, and that we do things appropriately, because this is going to be extremely important for this agency. I also want to congratulate in all this, the work that's been done already with the landscaping and everything that has been. I drove in this morning on the 836, and I was extremely proud to see how nice it looked. I've driven all the other parts, and it's a big change, and I know you took this personally. I know, member, the vice chairman, myself, and all of us that are here, we're really digging in to say this has got to be changed, we need to improve, and it has been. So I want to congratulate you as Madam Executive Director and all the people involved with this. But when it comes back to this, I want to make sure that this is something extremely important in our world. I know that the county has been going through it, the state is going through it, everybody's kind of looking at this, but it's getting close already, and we're there. So how long will it be out?
The advertisement will be within the next 60 days, is what we anticipate.
Okay, it'll put us right there, right at the season.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Vice Chairman.
is there any way to speed that up?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Because again, we need to be prepared. I mean, today is, the end of April. We're in May now, and we need to at least have some groups, on board. And then the next question I have is, how do you kind of ensure that when you need them, that they respond? Because if we've got an issue out there in the community, you have companies being poached, to go here, to go there, that type of thing, and we've got a contract with these two companies. And so how do we kind of protect ourselves so that we are not out here thinking that we have relief and we've got the resources, and, we get into the throes of things, and all of a sudden these folks want to go work for somebody else?
So Juan, do you want to
Yes,
speak on that?
Board Member Boss, we're going to be, as part of this procurement, we're hiring two contractors. One of the things that we do to ensure that we have the level of response required during any event is that we have an emergency preparedness plan that we put together and review every year. And prior to the season beginning, we meet with all the stakeholders and everybody who's a part of that plan, and we review step by step what all the procedures prior to the season beginning. That meeting is going to be happening in the next month. We usually do that in mid-May, before hurricane season starts and before we know that we're going to get into the storm weather season. Also, once we know that we're going to have the potential of a storm event at any degree, whether it's tropical storm or Category 5 hurricane, we have meetings with all the stakeholders, again, prior to that happening. So we bring everybody in, all the contractors, all the contractors doing construction. These two contractors will be coming in, and we meet to make sure that we handle what has to happen prior to the storm coming in and what has to happen and the responsiveness required after a storm leaves. Because the one thing that we want to make sure is that our roadways are clear in the most expeditious manner after a storm goes, because that is the lifeline. That is what's going to get emergency vehicles through. It's going to get all the support and everything. So we want to make sure that everybody's in place, and that's how we make sure that these contractors are responsive once they come on board.
So do we have the ability to, because again, you bring the whole family in, of our partners. Do we have the ability to issue emergency contracts to some of our partners who may be doing one thing but can help us with debris removal or something else?
We definitely have the ability to do that. Luckily, in the past, we've used these contracts along with ongoing construction projects where those contractors have performed emergency services for us as part of their ongoing services. So we have a lot of mechanisms in place that allow us to respond to any emergency, to make sure, again, to ensure that we open our roadways and make sure that everybody is, that we can provide the services that we need to provide in the quickest way possible.
that is something that it is what this community is all about. And the reason why I brought out the maintenance is because the more you maintain an area and the more you take away the overgrowth and stuff like that, the better it is for the vegetation that's there to stay in place, because that's part of the main concern, and depends on the level of the storm and what happens. But if it's a lower level storm, where you're gonna get a lot of vegetation all over the place and so on. And what happens is exactly what the vice chairman was stating, that a lot of contractors start getting hired by other people, and they're all going to the largest contract available, so on. So if it could be part of tying in, it's not just, you know, the money, because when they start paying a lot more, you see these guys just walk away. And so please pay attention, please hurry this up a little more, because I think we're behind the 8 ball on this one. And hopefully, with God's help, nothing will happen, especially when we're trimming so nice and doing such a good job that it looks great. So with that, do I have a motion?
I had a question.
Oh, Member Fano.
Juan, thank you for your explanation. My concern lies with the word season. Looking back last week, what happened in Fort Lauderdale, we didn't expect that. So could you share with us what's in place now if, God forbid, in the unlikely or maybe likely event we had something like that happen?
I'm actually glad you asked that question, because it's a great segue to what we're doing right now. The breakout of the asset maintenance contract has proven to be very successful for us instead of having one global contract. And I think the storms from 2 weeks ago is a perfect example. We used to have a lot of little hotspots for drainage on the system, especially on 836 by Lejeune, the on-ramp to go west, and so forth. With these individual drainage contracts and being able to work directly with the contractors for each discipline, we had what I think it was a 100-year event, and we did not have flooding on any section of our roadway, because we've been able to manage our crews efficiently, effectively. We've been able to get all of our system cleaned out prior to these incidents. And it shows, because 836, all of our 5 roadways had no issues with traffic or congestion during that rainstorm because of flooding and so forth. So that's just one example. As Board Member Diaz pointed out, the new landscape contract, they've hit the ground running. You know, they came in and they're showing their dedication and commitment, because they're out there doing the work that we've asked them to do. They're cleaning up, they're maintaining. The debris removal has been excellent. Right now, they've worked out a plan where they're hitting everything, and they're meeting every milestone of their own schedule that they proposed to us, and right now, we couldn't be happier with the performance.
Well, that's very good news, and as Board Member Moss says all the time, we need to talk about the good news too. And thank you for highlighting that, because it's important that we share the wonderful work that MDX is currently doing. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Vice Chairman.
I know that we just heard from staff that we can speed this up. How do we do that?
So I was just talking with procurement procurement officer Jackie. We already submitted all the paperwork. We have a priority list of procurements. We're just going to move this up. This will be the next one out. We'll work with her to make sure that we review everything that we submitted, that we answer every question, and hopefully we can get this out within the next 2 weeks to 10 days.
Because this is an emergency, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, we're right on the doorstep, of hurricane season. We've already seen what has happened so far this year. You know, so things are a little different. So in my mind, we need to get this done. We need to follow the process, but we need to find a way to get these contracts in place so that we're ready to go.
And I could not agree with the Vice Chairman and the members that have spoken more, because in all honesty, we're prone to water in our community in all levels, and the issue is there's been many parts of this county, I think I know a thing or two about flooding, and dealing with all kinds of systems and so on. But the most important thing is the upkeep. Throughout 31 years, I've realized that if we could trim, keep tight, you know, it minimizes the damage that is out there, especially what comes to our entity. So I want to congratulate you all. What is the legal time of the announcement has to be out? Is there an RFP?
It would be an invitation to bid.
An invitation to
Right.
bid, okay. So how long does it have to be out? 3 weeks?
30 days.
Could you
is the
stand up, please, or come to the mic, or,
30,
Okay.
30 days is the minimum to advertise a project before we receive bids. So we'll, we'll try to get this out in the next 10 days. It'll be a 30-day advertisement. We'll get everything in. And the expectation, because of that time, is to be able to have this in front of the board by the June meeting.
Right.
okay. You're good?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. With that, do I have a motion? Motion by Member Monestein. Do I have a second? As expedited as stated and amended as such. All right. And I have a second by the Vice Chairman. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right. Next item.
Item K, Executive Director Performance Evaluation.
The Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This morning, we met in executive committee that I chair, and we went through the evaluation of our executive director. And the evaluation was a very good evaluation. And from the comments, we feel that she's done an excellent job of coming into a very difficult circumstance and calming the waters, if you will, and continuing to move this agency forward in dealing with both staff as well as the public. And we feel that, she has hit all of the boxes, checked off all of the boxes, and that she deserves a very good evaluation, which she was given. And Mr. Attorney, I don't know how much more I need to go into.
It's just the evaluate. You want to discuss it? I mean, the only person that wasn't there was Board Member Monestein. And
I just want to say, it was time to stop because she was blushing already.
Go ahead, keep it coming.
that was great.
All right, anything else?
No, that's it. I'm very pleased, with the performance of our executive director. And, there was an old Baptist preacher who said, asked the question, what's the biggest room, the largest room in the world? And he would always say the room to improve. And, there's certainly room to improve, but she's done an excellent job in, again, carrying this agency through some very difficult times, taking over from someone who did a tremendous job, our previous executive director. And so she stepped right in, hit the ground running, and I'm very proud and very pleased with where we are as far as MDX is concerned.
All right, and then there was a little Cuban refugee said that there's always room to improve too, but there's some people that have taken it almost to the point that there's no more improvement left. So I think that's what we're trying to say. I think that the job that you have done has been second to none, and I think the chair of the committee did a great job in announcing and basically stating his point, and absolutely I joined in and followed because it was the case along with our counselor and the job that's done. But let me tell you that leadership starts at the top and it makes its way down, but if you don't have an organization that responds and works hard and does what they need to do, then that leadership does not go anywhere. So thank all of you. I'm thanking all of you for the hard work you've done and you continue to do and continue to show your dedication to MDX, and especially to both of you. Congratulations. All right?
Yeah, can you just have a motion to move her merit increase and in a lump sum form?
I'm sorry, I could not hear you.
Yeah. Motion to move her merit increase in a lump sum form.
Okay. With that, it's been motioned, Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? None. All right. Gotta be careful with that Cuban refugee going around. With that, next item.
All right, the consent agenda, I'll read them all at once. Travel approval and ratification, travel to Norfolk, Virginia, March 25th to the 28th, 2023, by Treasurer Weinberg to attend an IBTT conference. Number 2, travel to Indianapolis, Indiana, April 29th to May 2nd, 2023, by board members and executive directors to attend the IBTTA Technology Summit. And the last one is travel to Tampa, Florida, May 12th through the 13th, 2023, by board members and the executive director to attend the Team Florida quarterly meeting.
All right, so do I have a motion? Moved by Member Cueto, second by Member Fano. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? All right. Next item, board, the meeting, board meetings of January 24th. Do I have a motion to accept? A motion by Member Fano, second by Member Cueto. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right. Your attorney?
No, not anymore.
Procurement report.
That's attached in your package. So
We're good?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept by Vice Chairman. Do I have a second? Second by Member Cueto. All in favor, say aye. Aye. None opposed. And the other reports are Treasurer's report, Executive Director's report. Treasurer's report, she is not here, so we'll move it when we move the executive. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I have a couple of updates since we last met. Well, since the treasurer's not here today, I'm also going to give a few finance updates. We had our fiscal year 2023 customer discount program, which started in October, and it actually ended in February 28. That was the temporary program that was approved by this board. And we paid out $6.3 million to the residents of Dade County. And it came under budget, so I give a big thank you to our CFO for doing a great job working with the Turnpike and coming up with what this impact would be for the agency, and we were able to come under budget. So I'm really proud of what has come back from that. This program has currently ended in February, as I mentioned, and we will bring back to the board in June options for the next fiscal year for the rewards program. Of course, we can present different models, which I'm working on right now with the CFO to present to you all to see what's the next step you want to take for the new fiscal year. The state's program of the 50% is still in place, just so everybody's aware, the 50% discount until December 31st of this year, as of now. So that's where we're at with the rewards program. For our fiscal year 2023 financial results through March 31st, our total revenue is $197 million, of which $183 million are from tolls and expenses worth $38 million. And the debt coverage is projected at 1.94, which of course is way above and beyond even what our board policy is. So again, kudos to our finance team for making sure that we're covered in that area. So other updates I have is community engagement. I know we talked about community engagement a lot on this board. We continue finding ways to improve our community engagement, doing a lot of grassroots and really reaching out to the community where they may not feel that MDX touches them, right? And I'm trying to, since I've been here, today's exactly a year since my anniversary of starting with this agency, I really pushed, thank you. So I really pushed our team that deals with our community service to really take this to the next level. I know we've done a lot of posts on social media, but it's not just about being on social media, it's about being out in the public. Even I myself have volunteered that if I can, I will be there, even if I am the executive director, because again, people want to be heard, people want to be touched, and we need to be able to understand what the community wants and needs to make us do our job better. So some of the community engagements that we've been involved in, I know Board Member Moss helped us with this, which was the Community Health of South Florida in Homestead. That was in March. The team attended and provided transponders along with information regarding MDX. So the team was able to answer customer inquiries, including general MDX information. So that was one successful event. We also had our county commissioner from District 13 reach out to us as well for a Easter egg venture that we actually passed out things for the children on safety, on what MDX is. And of course, we distributed kids' guides, pencil cases, and provided information about MDX, and we distributed several, or maybe many, I want to say, some Pass Mini transponders to the community. So it was something that we were able to get their information, but also be able to help them to really get these Sun Passes, which we all know we're pushing more and more residents to get, so they have a savings on their tolls every month. Then we also attended the County Commission District 10 Country Fest, which was in Tropical Park. You know, our Senator Soto used to handle that before Anthony came in, and it was also a successful event. We had MDX provide actually a Road Ranger vehicle, and letting people know if you see something, you gotta dial *347. You will be surprised how many people don't know that, because till this day, I get calls sometimes, and I'm sure all of you do, is where do I report even somebody on the red lanes that should not be on the red lanes, right? Where do I report there's something that fell off a truck? So we really wanna inform the public and educate them on how they can access MDX, that it's not just because of somebody they know in the building, but that they can call from anywhere. So that was a successful event, and we also gave out some Pass Mini transponders in that event. Some announcements that I have, back to what Board Member Fano mentioned earlier, our board workshop. I know we talked about this. We had postponed it back in March. You will be receiving an email from our board secretary asking for some availability, probably in early June. We're gonna be working on this, either May or June. It all depends on how we can get, we want every single board member at this meeting so that we could go ahead and conduct our board workshop that I know we're all eagerly waiting for. And of course, it's to talk about aesthetics and our procurement policy, and of course, customer service needs. We're joining Miami-Dade County on Monday, May 1st, the Small Business Division. They've actually invited us to attend. It's the Small Business Week here in Miami, May 1st through May 5th. And Miami-Dade County has joined Miami-Dade County to be a part of that event. And it's really to give them the information to small business on opportunities, how to become a vendor, and really interact with the public on educating them. Even though we have things on websites, and I know our team does a tremendous job, again, this goes back to what else are we doing above and beyond to really reach out to our community and be hands-on with them? Because as much as we may say, well, just go in and register, a lot may not understand how to do that, and we want to be there to provide that support. And then the last thing I want to mention before my employee recognition that I want to mention is on June 8th, MDX will be hosting the quarterly CompTO meeting here in our chambers. They do want to hear from MDX and the great things that MDX is doing. Yes, so it will be hosted here. I will be the keynote speaker speaking on behalf of CompTO, and I will send you that information as soon as we have it. And if any of you can attend, I would really appreciate that, having that support from all of you. So I just want to mention two employees, which I may see one of them, Davina and Betty, if you can stand up for 1 second. So we, obviously at MDX, like I said, we're a small group, but as people move on to different parts of their life, and we've had about 2 vacancies right now that we've been pending to hire. And Betty, which obviously a lot of you may know from Miami-Dade County, she's taken over for Bernie, and she's done an amazing job. Obviously, she worked for 18 years, Betty, is it, in Miami-Dade County? Of course, I met her in my time at the county, and she's been truly an asset to this agency. And of course, Davina. I think Davina in her past life also worked at Miami-Dade County in procurement, actually, with ISD, and then I think she worked with the federal government as of recently, and she's actually the right hand of Juan when it comes to all our administrative services in the engineering department, our invoicing, contracts, dealing with the contractors, and Davina has been here now maybe 3 months, I want to say, roughly. And she's done, of course, an amazing job as well. So congratulations to the 2 new employees, and looking forward to creating 20 years. Thank you.
Outstanding on both of them.
Could you,
Vice Chairman.
to the executive director, could you identify, the groups that are basically doing your outreach? Who are our teams,
Our
part
team.
of our teams?
Yes.
That are doing the outreach?
Okay, so internally, when we talk about outreach, of course, Betty has been assisting in a lot of the work which Bernie used to do when he was here. And of course, Jackie, if Jackie, you want to stand up, when it comes to small business, she's been handling a lot of the small business activity, which we are moving to have maybe more of having a representation that is only for small business here at MDX, and we're actually working on that now through our reorganization of our staff. Esther, I see you back there. Yvette Holtz, if you can stand up. And of course, this is part of our team. And Tere, I don't see Tere. I know she's somewhere out there. Okay. So Tere is with HNTB, and of course, Esther and Yvette work with us through EAC, and they've done a tremendous job to be our right hand when it comes to dealing with all our community organizations and our public affairs and community service. So I really thank all of you for really coming together. And again, I'm keeping their feet to the fire. They can tell you that themselves, because when I have to call them in and say, why did we not do ABC? They've actually come, they've done, every time they just keep getting better and better, and I really appreciate everything they have done. So they are really the core of our community service.
Mr. Vice Chairman.
Thank you. And I wanted to make sure that that acknowledgement, was done, because I continue to say that we need to do more to talk about all the good things that are done at MDX. And if we don't tell our stories, somebody else will. And so, we need to make sure that we utilize the services of, our in-house staff as well as our consultant staff to do that, And I want to thank Holtz for communication for being down at the event down in Homestead, representing MDX well. And again, we just need to do more and more of those kinds of outreach efforts, if you will, throughout the community. We got a good story to tell, And again, if we don't tell that story, somebody else will.
Absolutely. Good job.
Thank you.
Man, you had a lot today. With that, let's continue to move on. We don't have to approve that, right? Or do we? Next board meeting. Do you want to light it up? I'm sorry, we couldn't hear you.
Will be on May 23rd at 4 p.m.
4 p.m. Okay. So with that, I was going to make comments, but I think I spoke enough today and enough issues today. And let me tell you what happened. I was, first time in 31 years, and I don't know how you guys have been doing with it, but I'm having a hard time keeping my schedule. And today I had same engagement, so I got a bunch of texts sent to me with pictures that I should have been on a television show. At the same time that I'm doing this. So I just want you to understand it wasn't the coffee. But with that said, I think it's a motion to adjournment.
Move it.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. We are adjourned. Have a good one, guys.